I got a new crucible. It's kind of fun to compare it to the old one. So this thing cost me 15 bucks. I mean, you can't go to the movies for 15 bucks anymore. And I've spent hours melting stuff in this thing. This is really cheap entertainment. I think a bag of charcoal cost me about $20. I've gone through 2 bags, and this was 15, and I probably spent 10 or 12 on the foundry. And look at all the fun I've had with this thing. So really, it's ready for a well-deserved retirement. But I want to do one more thing with it because I'm going to do something that's going to involve a lot of heat, and I don't want to do that to my new crucible. So I'm going to use my old one. So here's what I'm thinking. I've been thinking about metal melting temperatures and the way that brass blows off zinc oxide when I heat it up. So take a look here. That's brass. Brass melts at 927 Celsius degrees. I obviously have no problem doing that. Tin melts at 231. We saw that already. It melts at a really low temperature. Zinc melts at a low temperature too, 419. But what's really interesting about zinc is that zinc boils at about the same temperature that bronze melts at. Whereas tin doesn't boil until 2600 degrees Celsius, way higher than I can possibly get. So here's the thing. If I put bronze in and I heat it up really hot, I should be able to drive the zinc off because it'll turn into zinc oxide and go away. And if I throw tin in, the tin will melt, but it won't boil. And so what I should be left with is a combination of copper and tin. That's 360 grams of brass right there, which means that if it's about 33% zinc, which is a typical number, that's 240 grams of copper, 120 grams of zinc. If I throw 30 grams of tin on top of that 240 of copper and drive off all of the zinc, I'll be left with 12.7% zinc bronze. I have no idea if I can do this. I don't know how much work it's going to take to drive off 120 grams of zinc. My guess is I'm going to have to cook for a long time, but I've got a whole bag of charcoal, and I think I'm going to give it a shot. And I'm going to use this crucible because it's really going to take punishment when I do that. So we're in 15 minutes into this now. I've never started with brass before. It's interesting to start with brass because it takes a long time. You can see it's getting really red in there. You know, I've always melted aluminum first, so I've kind of gotten the preheat going, but it's really, really red in there. And I think that I'm starting to see the brass go. I'm sure the zinc, I'm sure that the tin went long ago. In fact, look, there comes the smoke from the zinc oxide. You can see it's starting to turn yellow on the inside of the throat there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stoke this baby up and let it roast for a while. I'm not sure that you can see, but way down in there is a pool of molten brass, and there's little nodules of zinc oxide all over it, and you can see the zinc oxide coming off through my little chimney there. This is a one-time deal that I made in order to try to push that zinc oxide out. I'm going to go ahead and add something here and see what happens. You can call this my song of ice and fire. What I decided to do was see whether or not I could capture some of that zinc oxide coming off of that zinc. I'm just going to let that sit there for a while and see what happens. I'm not anticipating anything huge, but you never know. I might be able to reclaim some of that zinc oxide. So you know, what we call fire is really the oxidation of something in the atmosphere, and that's what that zinc is. But you know what? This oxidative reaction, I'm going to call that the reaction fire too. I mean, look at this. It's burning. The damn stuff is burning. I think that's totally cool. We'll just keep going, and very, very red in there. Look at that. It's burning. Hopefully we'll just keep on driving that zinc off until we've got bronze left. We'll know shortly. About an hour into this, and we seem to have hit some kind of magic spot because all of a sudden the zinc is really coming off. You can't really see, but the inside of that chimney I have there is just completely coated with zinc oxide right now, and it's burning in there. So we'll let this run a little while longer and see if we can finish this off, hopefully soon. It's been burning for a long time. I'm going to go ahead and pour this off. It hasn't completely stopped making zinc oxide, but the production's gone way down, and kind of my foundry's pretty much had it here. You can see there's a lot of zinc oxide in there, and there's still a fair amount of metal. My guess is this is not bronze. It's probably still brass. Got a nice red color to it when I pour it out. Well, there's significantly less metal than there was when I put it in. So let's look at what we've got. There's my crucible. I'm not doing that anymore. This thing's shot. I'm probably try to flatten it off a little bit and put a piece of felt on the bottom of it and maybe use it as a pencil holder because it's a nice conversation piece. My chimney was really always intended to be a one-off. I just wanted to do it to see if I could capture some zinc oxide. And you know what I did? You can see I got a lot of it there. I don't know how much. I should have produced about 150 grams of zinc oxide total because I was trying to drive off 120 grams of zinc, and it's about 80% zinc when it turns into zinc oxide. So I don't know how much zinc oxide I actually captured, and I never will. A lot of it just went up in the air, of course. Here's my metal. There's a lot less of it than when I put it in. It's a different color than it was when I put it in there. Here's what I put in. Obviously different. And there's a lot, there should have been at least 2 full biscuits, and of course there aren't. So something happened. If you look, I had 360 grams of bronze, and I figured 240 grams of that was copper, and I threw in 35 grams of tin, which meant if everything went perfectly, I would have come out with 275 grams of metal. And I came out with 242 grams of metal. So clearly, I lost a lot of metal somewhere. I know I lost a little bit when I was scooping dross, but nowhere near 120 grams of metal. Just a couple little balls of metal. So clearly something happened. I went ahead and did a density. It came up at 8.87. I calculated that 12% bronze using the stuff that I had already calculated the densities on should come out around 8.75 to 8.8. So I think I might have brass here. Notice the other thing about this is it shrank when it cooled. That's concave. This one isn't. So I'm hoping I made bronze. I might try it again. I think I may have discovered the Philosopher's Stone. So just a couple other points about this while we're at it. I did shine this one up, and it takes a nice shine, which bronze is known for. And honestly, the color's not that bad. You know, if this has got 35 grams of tin in it on 240 grams of metal, then that's a lot of tin. That's, what is that? That's 1/6 of the total. No, it's more than that. It's 1/8 of the total. So that would make it about 16% tin, which is a pretty high number, which might be why the thing's a little bit not quite as brown as it should be. I did manage to break it. I had to hit it pretty hard, and it wasn't brittle like that aluminum stuff that I made. It's got a very fine grain pattern to it, and it's known to be more brittle than brass. So I think I might have bronze here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Anyway, if you like this video, please, like and subscribe, and tell your friends, come on back. We'll do a little more messing around in the bathroom, and we'll melt a little more stuff and just try to keep having fun. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.